Hi, welcome back to my channel. This is Psychic Medium Raymond Guzman, and today I'm going to be doing a psychic reading on the whole drama behind Roseanne Barr and her show being canceled. So I'm going to go ahead and dive in and tell you exactly what I see for the remaining of 2018, 2019 for her, psychic insights that I get. So Roseanne had the show, in the late 80s, early 90s. She had a success with that show, and then she, started doing comedy shows and went away. We would see her, in some, talk shows, sometimes make an appearance, and she's known to be a comedian. But for the most part, I feel like a lot of the cast members and crew behind, since they brought the original cast back for this reboot. A lot of people who were Roseanne supporters back then, were very excited. And I feel like the network, when Roseanne signed up for it, I get that there would have been some conversations, and I feel like what she came out of it was that when she signed on with them, they have to sign a contract for, appearing on the show. There's some contractual obligations. I feel like when she signed up for this reboot, what she was asking for was not exactly what, her team was, what they agreed upon. So I feel like her salary, whatever she was contractually to be paid out for the show, was not the amount that she would have expected to get. So I feel like already, before she started filming and all of this was happening, she put on a brave face and a smile, but there was still some kind of bad blood, between her and a lot of the executive producers and people who know Roseanne very well, her close inner circle. I do get that, they knew exactly what they were getting into. They knew that she's a Trump supporter, and they also knew that the fact that she is very outspoken. She's not one to really, back down on her views or her opinions. Now, Roseanne is a Scorpio, so Scorpios are typically, unapologetic. They, express what they want to express, and they're willing to defend themselves and challenge anyone, in authority, or anyone who would, say that, well, why, are you saying things like this? So when I come into Roseanne, I feel like she is not stable emotionally right now, what I'm getting. In retrospect, she does understand the repercussions and the things that she has said, and I won't repeat the tweets that she made, but they were, racist. A lot of people look at them as something that's being racist. And it's not so much what she said, because people are human, they make mistakes. But, a lot of people the public expects a lot from Roseanne, being that she's an older lady, who has had success in Hollywood. Um, and, people, they really look at her as, being someone who, is mature for her age and should have that kind of wisdom, behind that. You also have people who see her as, this, comedian, and comedians can get away with saying a lot of things. But I feel the impact behind the reasoning of the canceling of the show itself was not so much just because of what she said, but also because of the atmosphere and the environment that we're living in right now, the consciousness that everybody is vibrating on with this presidency, with President Trump being president of the United States of America. There's just so much, I feel like there is just so much, focus on celebrities and what they say. If anyone supports Trump, they're automatically, you know, almost like a witch trial. It's kind of like we're living in a witch trial type of thing, situation where you can't say anything without it being misconstrued, or coming across as racist. But then you also have to think, that we are in a time period right now where there is still a lot of racism that is predominantly prevalent, in a lot of parts of the world. And it's something that has never really gone away, and it will always be there, because there's always going to be people who are close-minded. So I feel like when I come into Roseanne, I don't feel that that she regrets what she says, even though she has given the apology, because, for a Scorpio to give an apology, it takes a lot, out of them. It takes a lot out of their character, and it's not, it's not something that they commonly would do, which is to apologize to the public or even apologize to somebody, that they've hurt. So I feel like it really was something that, where her team, her management team was like, you need to do damage control. You need to really do, say this and say that, and really, try to make amends. What I see for Roseanne is that, and y'all can call me a conspiracist, or, but this is just psychic insight that I'm getting. I feel like this was really planned out. I don't feel like she was, like she said, she was on Ambien and it was 2 in the morning, blah blah blah, and that she was really, I feel like what she did was very calculated. And what I get is that she really, after realizing, now that she's an older lady, which age just really has nothing to do with it, but I'm just using an example. What I get is that, she carefully planned this out methodically. She knew exactly what was going to happen, if she said something like this. And I feel like what she did it for a reason. I feel like after she had signed on with the show and said, you know what, just let's go ahead and do it, do the reboot. I feel like she, was under a lot of pressure, and I feel like she realized, she wasn't going to be able to be happy. Like, she really does like, doing a lot more of the comedy than the acting, even though she's good at both. I feel like, she just said, you know what, I'm just going to do something that's scandalous and it'll probably get me canceled. And the reason I say this is because, think about it. If she signed a contract, and she's not the reason that she is pulling out of the show. She's not the one coming and saying, I'm pulling out of the show. But ABC, the network, cancels her show. They are still contractual obligations, and her legal team would get involved, and they still have to pay her a big chunk of change. And she really didn't have to do any acting at all. Do you see where I'm going with this? So I feel like, what she said and the reason that her show was canceled, all the cast members, who were in a contract with ABC, ABC owes them money. They have to be paid out, even though, some people would say, no, that's not how it works. It is, because you're under a contract, and if you're not the one that's pulling out or annulling that contract. So I'm pretty sure her team was aware if there was a clause, whether or not ABC would have to pay her out a large sum of money. The smart thing to me would have been, was, if this was the case, pull her out of the show and get someone to replace her and just keep the show going. But, being that this was a reboot of the original cast members, I feel like it's kind of, difficult to do that, and it wouldn't have the success. The show was very successful, with so many views in the first week that it launched, that it aired again. So I feel like ABC really, really is thinking about everything that they've done. I don't feel like they're going to, forgive her for it and really, say, okay, here's a pat on your wrist, and we're just going to go ahead and let you go back into the show. I really feel that, they are sticking to their beliefs, and, they are against racism. But I also feel like, that the other cast members as well, they are kind of, they expected something like this to happen. They knew that Roseanne wasn't happy, even though, yes, she did go through the filming and everything. The energy that I get, and her energy doesn't lie, I just feel like she just was like, whatever happens, happens. I really don't care. I don't really feel like she needed this, because she was still making a lot of money through the reruns of the old show. Every time it reruns on air through these networks, she gets royalties or gets payment out of that as well. So what I feel like for her is that, she has other goals, but I feel like the next 6 to 8 months, it's going to be intense. A lot of contracts, a lot of sponsorships, things that she had are going to pull out, like a lot of them have in the past 24 to 72 hours. Well, 24 to 48 hours. But I do feel like, she will still have some success, even though I know a lot of people right now are probably going to be listening to this video and thinking, she's not going to, have any kind of more success. Her career is dead and over. Anytime that a person goes through a scandal like this and it's very predominant, I feel like it does actually give them the opposite, they're in the spotlight. They're selling tabloids. They're going to have interviews. They're going to go on shows and kind of, give a public apology or explain their side of the story, what they really meant. It's kind of like what they did to Kathy Griffin, the comedian, the red hair comedian. They did that to her when she paraded ahead of, President Trump. And her career was, a lot of people thought it was over, and now she's researching after a year, a year and some months. So the same thing with Roseanne. I feel like right now she's going into damage control, but she's not really, worried about anything. I don't feel like, she has anything to worry about. I feel like she still has money, and she still will have, her comedy shows that people will go to. You have to understand right now America is divided, and even though it's terrible that it's divided, there's so many supporters still of Roseanne, not the character in the show, but Roseanne Barr herself. um and a lot of people are forgiving her because they know that it's, if it was a comedian, that not just a person with a TV show, but a regular comedian or somebody else saying something, maybe it wouldn't be dragged out of proportion. But again, racism is a very strong topic right now. It's something that's predominantly in the all around the community of the world, and it's affecting a lot of people. There's a lot of sensitivity, so anything that you say can, and it can be taken into a very serious manner and really affect your career. But I do feel like she is going to get past this, but the next 6 to 8 months is going to be very, very difficult for her. But she has a lot of strength, even though, she does have some depression. She does have some issues, with, the way that she gets along with a lot of people. But I feel like everything around her now is in a whirlwind. So, the next couple of weeks, it's going to be intense. I feel like she's going to be receiving, threats of being harmed. A lot of people that, are just going to show a lot of hate on her, on all her social media platforms. I know that some people said that she pulled out of Twitter completely, but on Instagram she's still on there as of yesterday, I believe. So it wouldn't surprise me, if right now she would, disable a lot of those comments or limit them on her posts. But I just get that there's going to be so much hate still directed towards her. But a lot of people that were, ABC is really thinking about this, and they're like, not having this is going to create a big revenue loss, not having the show. So I feel like the next 2 days or 3 days, the next week, they're going to have a lot of thinking to do about what they want to do next, but I don't feel like, again, she's going to just be forgiven and this is going to go away anytime soon. But again, I feel like this was very strategic of her, and I wouldn't put it past her, doing this and knowing that she was still going to have to be paid out contractually, because it wasn't her choice to sever the contract and cancel the show. This wasn't her like saying, I'm walking out of this set. But ABC again chose to do this, and they're billionaires, so I feel like, she's going to definitely come out of this with money in her pocket. But going forward, I do feel like she's going to have to choose her words very carefully, and not do this again, because people won't be so forgiving the second time. But I do feel like there is a darker period that is awaiting her for, throughout the next 6 to 8 months going into 2019. I feel like almost like by August of 2019 is when she will see a little of this, kind of going away, and her kind of getting some normality back into her life. But I also feel health-wise, I get intuitively she's not too good in her health, and I feel like there could be, something also coming up in her health area. So, people would say this is karma, but I feel like this is something that before she even said anything, and it has to do with her body itself. And the words that I'm getting, is the illness. So I'm feeling like this is something, that she is maybe aware of, and she knows that she needs to kind of take it a little bit slow and get, treatments and stuff like that. But I really just feel like she's not in a good health right now, even though she does look like she is, with makeup and everything, anyone can look pretty good. but I feel like she is not in a good health. That's what I'm getting. Um, but I do see her ultimately coming back into TV, um, into shows, and things like that. But it won't be anytime soon. But she will be back. That's what I'm getting essentially. But it's going to be some time before people forgive her, and she's always going to be labeled potentially as a racist, because once you make comments like that, people hold on to them, and you're always going to be reminded of things that you say, and she hasn't. This is not the first time that she said something that's controversial. She's done it before in the past. So again, I just feel like, right now she is okay with the whole concept. I don't feel like she is upset necessarily. Yes, she is, in the first, I think when if they first announced it yesterday that they were canceling her show, she did go through the withdrawals and the emotions of, grieving, and kind of like not grieving, but kind of being upset and frustrated with the whole concept of her show being canceled. But ultimately, I'm getting from Spirit that she is okay, and that she is just looking forward on her next steps. But I do feel like there's going to be a lot of, articles written. She's going to be interviewed. There's going to be maybe another network who will want to, pick up the show. It's something that we will have to see how it plans out. But like I keep hearing from Spirit and seeing, she will be back, and that's what I hear. She will be back. So that's up to see right now. So this was just my personal opinions. Again, I'm not, biased or anything. This is all coming from Spirit and what I see for insights. So if you have any other celebrities that you would like for me to go ahead and do a psychic reading on, please go ahead and comment below. Also, if you did like this video, please give it a thumbs up. Also, follow me on Facebook and Instagram. And if you'd like to set up a private reading with me, you can go to my website. It's www.raymondguzman.net/shop. Blessings and love and light. Have an amazing day.